sure we're in conformity.
Census as of July 2023 was 11,232.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morrison.
With the town administrator, the last time I remember seeing that number in 2010, it was 11,390. We actually lost population in the last 10 years, Laurie?
The number that you were quoting is from the 2020 census. This is as of July of this year, so it's two different census ones, so ours always differ a little from
Okay.
that. So that's the reason for that.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Town Administrator, you want some action on this?
I'd like the board to vote to accept that census.
Mr.
All right,
Morrison.
we'll do that. Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to accept the population estimate provided by the town clerk based on the census and vote to sign the ABCC 2023 seasonal population increase estimation form with the estimated population for Dudley in July 2023 of 11 to 32. So take any action, other action relative thereto.
Second, I just had a quick comment.
Discussion.
It's amazing that we've got numbers of fairly steady, but the dramatic decline in the school system. That counts school-age children too. The schools are down close to 25% in the last 10 years. Just proves our aging and graying population.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next is appointments. Kendra Faldetta, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, term to expire June 30th, 2025. Yes, Kendra here. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself? Just tell everyone who you are and
Hi, I'm Kendra Valdetta. I have lived in Dudley since I was in kindergarten. I am the executive director of the Northborough Senior Center, and I'm just interested in serving my own community.
excellent. Thank you. Any motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Kendra Feldetta to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee with the term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Second.
And a second, any discussion? Other than thank you for volunteering.
Yes, thanks for stepping up, Kendra.
Committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Unanimous. Next, Dudley Police Department, appointment of Reserve Officer Daniel Brunel, term to expire 12/31/2023.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I'm going to have Lieutenant Collowitz come up and introduce Dan to you in a moment, give him a little bit of your background. This is as you know, the board declared an opening, or declared openings on the reserve force. We received one applicant. And so I had been in contact with the evaluation committee. They chose to forego any type of interview process as long as we had reached a successful evaluation of the candidate. And so he's passed everything that we've had up to this point. He has a few more things to do. So what I'll ask is whether the board takes a vote. You'll appoint him as a reserve officer, and the appointment date is contingent on him completing his other evaluations that needs to be done. We're waiting on a psych eval and a physical agility test to be done, which should be done within the next week or so. So what we'll do is when those tests are completed, we'll notify the administrator, and the appointment will be effective as of that date for the board. So I'll have Lieutenant Collowitz come up with Daniel and introduce him to the board.
Good evening. I conducted a background on Daniel. He seems like he's been doing this job for 5 years with Oakham Police Department, also with Charlton. He's been a reserve for both departments for 5 years. He is from the area, grew up in the area. His goal ultimately is to become a police officer. Put it down Dudley. He showed interest a couple of months ago, approached me, and I did a thorough background check. I think he's gonna be a great fit for Dudley Police. And do you have any questions for the end? We're open to any questions.
Does the board have any questions?
Yeah, to the candidate, can you tell us a little bit about like your educational background or your, how far you are in the process of becoming fully certified to be a police officer?
I am currently fully certified police officer. I did the Bridge Academy, I don't know if you're familiar with
Yep.
that. You have to have 2,500 hours of active patrol time, which I did at OCAM.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you want to just give us a little bit of personal information on you, what you like to do.
I'm a big car enthusiast. I like anything really with a motor. I have a Harley Davidson. I was a mechanic before I was a police officer. So big gear. And I
Perfect.
bought a house in 2020. Dudley, South Road. Grew up in Charlton. Went through the school systems there. Went to VACAF, automotive.
Excellent, thank you.
I can tell the board through all the background checks I did with him, everybody spoke very highly of Dan. They said that if they could hire him, they would hire him in an instant. And they said that would be a good fit for Dudley, being a small community. That's what right there.
Any trouble with that Boy Scout camp up there, Treasure Valley?
Kind of. Not them, that's who they are renting it to.
Renting, yeah, those, yeah.
Yes, yes, there is.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Be honest. It's awesome.
What's the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Reserve Officer Daniel Brunel with a term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Welcome.
Daniel.
Appreciate it,
Thank you.
Want to come up?
Yeah,
Yeah, want to do a picture and then we'll.
Debbie, you want to?
A little follow-up.
Judge is gonna have a heavy one now,
Whatever that was.
All right, that was in front of you.
Yeah.
No, I meant it.
Oh, really? It's the joke.
It's
Oh, that's perfect, wow. And one more after this, please, for Chief. Beautiful.
Know how to use it?
No. Beautiful.
That's where it's January 3rd.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, January 6th.
All right, next, Dudley Reserve reappointments. One-year appointment, term to expire 12/30/2023. Officer James Rivera and Officer John Galaki. 6-month appointment, term to expire 6/30/2023. Officer Robbie LaRue, Officer Anthony DiDonato, and Officer Elizabeth Weiner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are new annual appointments for our reserves. So we only have, again, 5 left, and now we have 6 with Dan. So 2 of them have completed the program, the bridge program to get in, or they will be enrolled in it. And the others are either enrolled in it or will be reevaluated in 6 months. So that's why they're split up like that. But I would just have the board move to appoint those individuals. Again, this is a standard that takes place every December.
It's board's pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the reserve as written in the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Citizens' comments, anything from the crowd that's not on the agenda already? Hearing none, moving on. Town administrators report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I signed a letter of support for the Massachusetts Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit for Stevens Mill. The board recalls this happens on an annual basis, supporting Camden's reapplication of Preservation Massachusetts for tax credits that, as the board knows, will be used to offset the cost of construction when the project begins next year. As the board recalls, demolitions of the flea market portion of the mill is reportedly scheduled to begin in February next year, so we look forward to that starting. Next is, there's been a lot of discussion relative to the priorities of the incoming administration, and as the details become available through Governor-elect Healy's office, particularly in terms of local funding, I will be sure to discuss them here. In terms of the most recent and potentially final actions of the outgoing administration, Governor Baker signed a $3.7 billion spending package on November 10th that is a combination of economic development bill and a fiscal 2022 supplemental budget. The law signed by the governor includes major investments in the areas of broadband, housing, water infrastructure, and the Community Preservation Trust Fund. There's a $50 million availability for Broadband Innovation Fund and an additional $25 million for a reserve for broadband infrastructure investments, including the Last Mile Infrastructure Grant Program. I'm not certain how that translates to a grant funding opportunity for Dudley, but we will certainly be looking at the possibility of fiber and radio infrastructure, especially. It's something we've been discussing for a while, for our public safety and public works repeaters in 2023. We'll be pursuing that. There's been $304.5 million for housing programs, including $100 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, $100 million for a workforce housing initiative, and $100 million for the Commonwealth Builders Program. All these programs are largely related to single-family affordable housing. However, we will certainly review that and what may, if anything, be a good match for Dudley. There's an additional $20 million for migrant refugee programs to streamline access to housing, shelter, food, healthcare, and legal services. Not necessarily a source of funding that would apply directly to our local funding needs, but we'll take a look at it. There's $115 million for the Clean Water Trust Fund, which helps communities finance significant, complex, and urgent water projects. And that's basically along the lines of what we're getting now from, in terms of funding for our PFAS issues. It's, you know, there's a large loan forgiveness. It's a loan as opposed to a direct grant.
So that's what funds those.
That's what funds those grants.
It's not new money.
Yeah, right. There's $20 million for Community Preservation Trust Fund, which would increase the state's match from an estimated 35% to 43%, approximately the same level as in fiscal 2022. This doesn't necessarily apply to the town of Dudley unless you were to vote to accept the town meeting a certain provision of Chapter 44B that would create a special community preservation fund by assessing a surcharge on annual real estate taxes and to appropriate monies in that fund for open space, historic resource, and affordable housing purposes. And I would not recommend sponsoring an article except such provisions until we determine what the FY24 budget numbers will be. And then I anticipate that we need to have a series of very public, very open discussions before we move down that path to accepting that provision. So that's what we can expect from the outgoing administration's office. As a reminder of the holiday schedule of the town offices for the next several weeks, Friday, December 23rd, we're going to be closing at noon. Monday, December 26th, we're closed. Friday, December 30th, will be open for regular Friday hours, and Tuesday, January 2nd, the town hall will be closed. And we suggest, because of vacation time, that our staff will be using, the members of the public that have business that needs to be conducted, try to complete it prior to the 23rd, or make specific arrangements with the individual offices. I'm going to ask Michelle to remind department heads to provide notice to the public of any additional change in hours, such as vacation time, that might happen or occur over the next couple of weeks. And then finally, we have some movement towards a resolution, or at least the beginning of a resolution toward the Brandon Mill Bridge that has been closed. And I think the highway superintendent will cover that in more detail during his department head report. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for the town administrator?
This one, Mr. Chair. Resident reached out to me right before the meeting. Is the transfer station open on either of the next 2 Saturdays? Yes. Regular hours, Saturday? Yep. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to accept the report?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.
Thank you.
New business. Sorry, I thought he was gonna do that.
They got tucked in with my report to recognize and accept the Boy Scouts.
You want
Sure, could the Boy Scouts come up? So what I said.
So it's Cub Scout Pack 274. We can make that change to the agenda.
Yeah, I think we've discussed it in the office, Mr. Chairman, that they recently had a cake auction, and they have an announcement they'd like to make based on the proceeds from that cake auction.
Can someone introduce themselves and let us know how it went?
I'll do it. My name is Mark LePage. I'm the Cub Master. This is Lou. He's the committee chair. Mr. Brian Anders.
Ambassador without portfolio.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. And this is Miss Nicole. She's one of our den leaders, one of the fantastic den leader. And these are our fine scouts who helped us with this donation that we're going to be able to give to you guys tonight.
So a little background. The pack itself has been in existence for over 50 years in the town of Dudley, proudly. And after a pause due to the pandemic, with the help of several of the adults who are standing here, and because of some of the youth that are standing here, we are currently sitting at a membership of 15 Cub Scouts, which is a 200% increase over where we were a year ago. So that's an amazing thing. The cake auction was a long-standing tradition for this pack and supported, among other things, the efforts of the Dudley Lions. And when we started rolling this year, as Mr. LePage had put it, now that we were done walking, it was time to run. And we saw the campaign on behalf of the Dudley Playground and thought, what a great place to put all those proceeds. So we held the cake auction the weekend before Thanksgiving. And I have to write another check to the Dudley Women's Club. I'm sorry, but I got a call late last night. We received $850 at the auction. And to give credit where credit is due, part of the credit goes to our fine auctioneer, the chairman of the board, Mr. Johnson. He told me he was surprised. He thought half the universe was going to be there.
That will be next year.
Next year. We raised $850 at the auction, and we are now, I have to rewrite this because we now have $1,000 to give to the Dudley Women's Club to go towards the rebuilding and rehabilitation of the playground. It benefits this group. This fits so perfectly into what we do, and it's an example for us to demonstrate to the scouts, the boys and the girls that we now have, that this is what we do. This is what good citizenship is all about. So I'll give you this now.
Mr. Chairman, this is Nicole Fletcher, she's an officer of the Dudley Women's Club, that's been spearheading the
I'm
effort.
sure you're happy.
That's so impressive. Thank you.
And it's also worth noting too, that we wanted to thank the community too, because there are a lot of people that aren't involved directly with the scouts. We put out a call to the community to help either provide monetary donations or cake donations, and we received a lot of that, so thank you.
We even had one scout and his mother drive over from Charlotte because they baked the cake to donate. And their cake was bought by someone from our pack, and they bought a cake while they were there at the auction, and they bought one of ours. So it was a great day all around.
The same two scouts traded cakes.
Yeah.
We couldn't have done this without the gracious donations of people offering their baked goods for us to auction off. And of course, the people who showed up to actually pay for the cakes that were being auctioned. And of course, we could have had the event if no one came and there were no cakes. We wouldn't be here. So, you know.
And the chocolate bars we sold too.
Oh, yeah.
That always helps.
So on behalf of the family of PAC 274 and the families that supported us, You have $1,000 for the
Wow.
playground.
Thank you so much on behalf of the building. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Can we take a phony picture now?
Sure.
Yes.
Little baby, maybe easier.
What do you want to
Yeah,
say?
yeah, that
Let's
should
go
be
there.
good.
Yeah.
You move, just moving a little.
You gotta stay right along.
Yeah.
That's
You guys will
good.
be there.
Over here, you in the middle. That's right.
Go back here.
Because that's where the laser's gonna show up.
Plus you're the tallest.
That's where the laser goes.
Good, good, good.
There's no one sucking.
Nice, very nice, thank you.
Say scouts.
Scouts.
Scout rock.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you for the picture.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful
job.
You have good tech team.
Right next. Right now, together and everything. Give me that.
Just like to say, it was a privilege to be the auctioneer for that cake auction. Done it a couple times, and the energy in the room and all those that volunteered to put those placards up and donate money towards the cake auction, and a good cause. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next is new business. Board to approve and sign Merrick Harlowitz Police Chief Employment Agreement date January 14, 2023 to January 13, 2024, and to set swearing in on January 9, 2023, or take any other action relative thereto. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, on behalf of the board, council needs a second, with great pleasure, to make a motion that we present for approval and signature Lieutenant Merrick Holowitz, become police chief for dates January 14th, 2023 through January 13th, 2024, with swearing in on January 9th, 2023.
Second, with pleasure.
Any discussion? Discussion? Yes.
I just want to thank the board again for choosing me for be the next leader for the police department. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I have some big shoes to fill. I want to congratulate the current chief on his retirement from January. And again, I appreciate the board's confidence, and I hope that I can lead the department in the right direction as we have in the last couple of years.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think the board has made an excellent choice. Known Merrick for a long time. He was back in our Citizens Police Academy back in the 90s. He's a real stand-up guy. Does a very, very good job. And the department's in good hands. I mean, one of the things that you always look at when you're in my position is that you want to try to prepare people to take over for you when you're not going to be here, and make sure the transition is smooth going from point to point. Because basically, just like all of us in these positions, we're just kind of keeping the seat warm, and he's going to take them after we're done. And so you want to make sure you kind of leave things a little bit better than you found. And hopefully I was able to accomplish that, but I know Merrick will pick up the ball and then run with it, and he'll do a great job. So I'll probably be officially done again on the 13th, maybe around noonish, somewhere around there. But he'll be the guy after that. But it's been a tremendous honor, and I'll have more as time goes on. But I can't thank enough people over the years that have helped me come through everything here, both from my wife and family, right on down to all the elected officials and the officers in the department and everybody before me and after me. So you're just thinking today, when I go, I'm going to be the last person in the department that was appointed in the A's. So it's a little stage of how we're getting older, but It's really been tremendous, and time's really flown by. But I'm very proud of Merrick. I think he's doing a great job. He did a good crew there. I think everything will go well. And I'm certainly going to help him out with whatever he needs to help transition to the next stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, got a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
You gotta sign up before they change their mind.
Mike's not working. What's not working?
All right, what's next? There's a Town of Dudley and Gentex Corp. Mr. Town Administrator?
Mr. Chairman, we've had some offline conversations about coming to an agreement with Gentex regarding some mitigation surrounding the environmental issues around their property. And I know that town council has had a chance to speak with each of you. So we're asking for authorization for town council and I to negotiate a preliminary agreement with Gentex to move forward cooperatively to address those issues.
Board's pleasure. Mr. Marson?
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we authorize the town administrator and town council to negotiate preliminary agreement and further to give the town administrator the authority to approve agreement in consultation with town council between the town of Dudley and Gentex Corporation as related to engineering, mitigation, testing, legal and environmental actions, and is recommended by town council or take any other action relative thereto.
A second question.
Discussion?
Yep. So does this mean if town administrator and town council, they'll still present the final agreement to us for official vote, right? This is just the,
It would mean that we would have a preliminary agreement in place because time is of the
right,
essence.
and bring that forward.
And then we would reserve the right for further changes
Okay.
down the road.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's a preliminary agreement, not a final.
It reserves the right. This is where we are now. Everyone's up to date.
Right.
Perfect.
So we'll see it before final.
No, you won't see it before final. You'll have we will reserve the right to, as more conditions become apparent, to alter and change that agreement. This is no, yes, there's no difference nothing different from what the board is already aware of.
Thank you.
We have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. All right, patrolman vacancy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This would just be to replace my position. So, as you know, we do appointments through our reserve force. So we'd like to get this posted as soon as possible and get that process in place and have the person be able to take over when I leave in the middle of January. So this is just a formality for the board to declare that position open. It would be appreciated.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we declare a full-time patrolman vacancy on the police department effective January 14th, 2023. And we'll take any other action relative thereto.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let's talk about highway superintendent, talk about overspending on snow and ice line item.
Mr. Chairman, this is an annual occurrence where we ask going into the heavier winter months permission, should it happen in the middle of a snowy period, for the highway superintendent to overspend the snow and ice line item in his budget, should it become necessary.
It's the board's pleasure. Mr. Mercer.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the highway superintendent to overspend the sum known as line item in his budget if required in fiscal year 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Mills?
Yeah, just like Jonathan said, this is something that, you know, it's one of the only accounts we're authorized to do that, right, Mr. Town Administrator?
That's right. Some years we've come in and had a surplus, some years we've gone over what was budgeted. It's based on the weather.
Right.
And of course, if we do overspend, it hits free cash in the next fiscal year and settles itself up before we can declare free cash.
We've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, public hearing. 7:12. We will open up the public hearing on changing of manager, Dudley Links Operations LLC, Dudley Hill Golf Club. Tracy McCormick. Sure, yeah. Could each of you introduce yourselves?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrew Upton, attorney for the applicant. With me is the proposed manager of record.
Hi, I'm Tracy McCormick. I'm the resident district manager for Nichols College.
Bob Levine, vice president of operations at Nichols College. So this is Nichols College golf course license. The college retains a management company to run the golf course, and they are now replacing the management company. So the old management company had a manager who will no longer be with us. The new management company has appointed Tracy, and I can tell you she's extensively experienced in sale and service of alcohol and supervision of sale and service of alcohol. She has been approved as a liquor license manager a couple of times before by local communities and by the ABCC. She meets all the qualifications. She's a citizen, Mass resident, she has a clean criminal record. And I said she's been previously approved, and she's looking forward to getting to work on the golf course. And we're all glad to answer any questions.
Tracy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm currently the resident district manager for American Dining Creations at Nichols College. Prior to that, I worked for a company called Senexo for about 16 years. Most recently in Boston, overseeing Federal Reserve Bank, Boston, Liberty Mutual, and Foley Coag down in the Seaport. Prior to that, I was at Mass Mutual, which still goes in my name in Springfield. I was also at Old Storage Village for Senexo. I had a license there as well. That was probably 2008-ish, around there. And then prior to that, I worked for about 10 years restaurant associates at the Public House in Sturbridge.
Does the board have any questions?
Just to the attorney, you listed off some things. Does that include tip certified? You have to be tip.
Yeah, that's not a statutory requirement, but she is.
Any other questions?
Will anything be changing, hours of operation, anything?
Not at this time.
No change to any aspect of the operation on the premises. But as Tracy takes over and evaluates and works with Bob to upgrade the facilities, if there are any changes that impact the license, we'll file the appropriate amendment and come back to you.
Will the new management honor existing gift cards that weren't used previous year?
That's a good question. We will work through that.
As I'm sure, this came kind of late in the season. I'm sure there's people that had some probably didn't use up.
Yeah, so I'm sure if there are gift cards, we will work through that to honor.
Work through that to honor, so no one will go without. I'm paying.
It's a good question, because we're looking at the clubhouse and specifically the bar and the restaurant, which for the most part has been closed since COVID, so I'm unaware of any. I've been in contact with the current tri-state, so I'm unaware of any of that, especially if that restaurant's been closed since pre-COVID.
It's just something that I've noticed come up in other communities with the amount of food service, restaurants, bars, or what is it? I just asked.
Appreciate
I
bringing it up.
well, Mr. Sullivan asked, that's what I had.
I guess I'll have that conversation with Tri-State, because like I said, they closed the restaurant portion of that pre-COVID.
And I've been there where they allowed people to sit on that side, but obviously they weren't serving food.
Right. Yes, exactly. I mean, they kept the liquor license,
Right.
the food ended up.
It's kind of like technically closed, but if it was overflow, people could just kind of
Yeah,
sit at the
exactly.
table and have a
Yeah.
water or soda.
Yeah.
The gift certificates could have been for golf too, right?
No, they generally just,
Just for food or drink?
no, Fred, I go,
Yeah.
just bought like a $75
It
card.
might not just be a restaurant, right?
Okay, we'll look into that.
Check.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, any other discussion?
I just wanted to, Mr. Chairman, are we running is Nichols running a shuttle service between the golf course and the campus? I know the president mentioned that he was gonna make sure that that happened.
If the need is there, yes, we already have a shuttle service, so yes.
The need meaning students?
Student, yeah, but from our community.
Is it regularly run between the
Yeah.
two places?
It's got a regular schedule to various areas in Dudley, and I think it goes up to Blackstone to the mall.
Does it service the golf course as well?
It hasn't yet, but that is the intent.
Okay.
Oh, it hasn't. I just don't like it when we have conversations, and I'll leave it at this. I don't like it when we have conversations with the president, and then it doesn't come to fruition. When we had that appreciation night during the football game, there were a few things that haven't come to fruition. If you could just let them know that I'm disappointed, and we'll leave it there because we'll go down a rabbit hole, and I don't think this is the time.
I might have misspoken too. I mean, if he's made some commitments that I'm unaware of. I mean, the shuttle services there, it does regularly run.
If we could have some follow-up on that. that'd be great.
Absolutely. Specifically for the golf course, the shuttle.
That was something that was mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's, you don't have to make a phone call to.
Did he return, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, did he return the phone call, the initial? No?
We may have paid phone tag. Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? Did we make a motion?
Make it close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing, that's right, you just told me that. Close the public hearing at 7:17. Mr. Marcy?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the change of manager of Dudley Links Operations LLC as business as Dudley Golf Club to Tracy L. Horn.
Second with a question. Going back to my question and Kerry's, is it sufficient for the board to close it and give it to them without those answers? We want to put a condition on that we get responses, especially about the shuttle? Or would you rather just give it to them? in good
Here's my
faith?
own hand, so this is in regards to changing of agreement.
Correct, but sometimes people have a tendency to come up quicker with some answers if there's a reason to.
Are either of the questions germane to the manager change?
I suppose you could stretch it and say yes, because if she's the manager and Bob's the VP, one of them has to be obligated to get the answers back, especially including the shuttle, if that's more of a safety issue as opposed to a convenience issue. I mean, I'm assuming, I've known Mr. Levine a long time, I'm assuming he'll get back to us whether we like the answer or not, but I'm just saying, sometimes it's a bad idea. Either way, I could
Is there
care.
a proposal for, change the vote?
And it's not, it's
Mr.
not.
Chairman?
I can live with it.
I'm more than willing, I could have an answer for you tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't want to change my motion, Mr. Chairman. I think we assume positive intent that the partners will respond.
If the shuttle is there, and if that's what the president has committed, I'm quite confident that shuttle will run, and I can confirm that for you tomorrow.
So satisfied?
I guess I've known Bob a long time, I think he was a man of his word on that one.
Any other discussion? The motion seconds, no discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, 4 to 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Well,
Very good.
Good job.
All right, old business, highway superintendent, update on Brandon Road and Loveries Road.
Good evening. So, we've had a good response to the request for proposals for the demolition of the bridge. There were 21 or 22 respondents. Today, we had a pre-bid meeting at the site. 10 of the contractors showed up. It was a mandatory meeting. They were able to go over any of the issues that they may have had questions on, and were able to view the site. So we will have a bid opening in January, and it'll allow us to, provided we can come back with a desirable result as far as the bids, we'll be able to proceed with the demolition early spring. So, and that's about it for the bridge. I don't know if you want me to do the rest of the stuff. Yes. So as far as the overspending, I know you talked about that earlier, there was a little over $12.50 a ton increase in road salt this year, so we did realize that. I was able to buy early on last year's terms, so we saved about $12,000 on purchasing early, so but there are other expenses to contend with. Our crews are still out patching the asphalt plants, planning a shutdown on Wednesday, so we've been out doing hot mix patching for the last several weeks to try and take care of any of the road defects and preparing for the snow and ice season, so that's about it.
Thank you.
Resident asked about, Coleman Road, is somebody asking this? Coleman Road, half of it got repaved, but it was the other half set for the spring. Did I see that last time you checked on?
I don't recall the conversation, but so last season, we did a portion of Corbin Road that we repaved. Because of the budget issue with the Chapter 90 portion being used towards the demolition, until we know exactly what that figure is on demolition for the bridge. I don't have a hard schedule set. I do have an assessment done on the needs for resurfacing, but I don't know what funds will be available until we get that final number on with the bid return on the demolition for the bridge.
So you have more information in the spring?
More information in the spring.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see, the student rep is not here. Departmental communication. Let's start with you, Mr. Kamiani.
We have a guest, Mr. Chairman.
Department heads. Let's talk about department heads.
Of course. Good evening. I'll keep it brief. We have the bills printed. They are out of the building. They're at Karen Graphics. I know. They get delivered when they get delivered. I send a message out all the time. Someone who wants to get that payment in to get the deduction for their taxes, and they don't have a bill in hand, please reach out. Happy to do that. Also, anybody who's going down to Florida after the holidays, happy to forward a bill. Sometimes the U.S. Postal Service does a great job. Sometimes it winds up on somebody's daughter-in-law's car's front seat. Happy to do things like that. We're going to have, it's going to be the last payroll next week. We're going to have W-2s after that. Just ringing the bell. Anybody who received the check may have changed the post office box, may have bought a house, may have moved. We want to make sure that all those addresses are right when we send out the tax forms. Did our herd health insurance responsibility disclosure, X amount of employees offered insurance, took the insurance, declined the insurance. It's all part of the health insurance policy manual. What's that? The herd reporting has been done. Remember, we have our look back period that runs from March 1st to the last day of February when it comes to qualifications for the health insurance. Worcester Regional is going to have their assessment meeting coming up in 2 weeks. I think I'll stop right there. Excellent staff. This is the first time I got to monitor the bill printing as opposed to rolling up my sleeves and doing it all. It was a matter of memorializing directions, following through on the directions, and things like that. Always thanking Karen Graphics, supporting a local vendor as much as we have new software. They still go through and do a tremendous job for us. And with that, thank you. Questions?
Thanks, Rich. Any questions for Clerk? Fire chief's not here. Police.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just two quick things, but actually one I'll probably have to get an opinion from what the board wants to do. We'll be distributing our toys and everything else like that, probably starting tomorrow. So still, if there's anybody that has any last minute donations they want to make, we'll gladly accept them up until tomorrow. And then whatever's left over, we're going to work with Food Share and try to get things distributed locally. So I thank Officer Remoulade and Officer Pacheco, Lieutenant Chandler Boyd, two of us that really helped out with that program. That's appreciated. We just got word today that Paige Morrows will be graduating on December 30th. Should be graduating from the academy. So again, we just got that notification today. We anticipated her graduating the week after. And so we're kind of in a little quandary here with you're not meeting until the 9th. And so I'm not sure how it can proceed, but we probably want to make her appointment effective New Year's Eve on the 31st. So I don't know if this falls under an unanticipated item, whatever it would be, or how the board wants to handle it. Because I know you're not meeting again until the 9th, so you have like 3 weeks between now and the next meeting. And again, we just got this notice today, so this was not something that was anticipated at all prior to even this afternoon. So I just want to throw that out to you for your consideration, because we'd like to have her kind of working as soon as we possibly can.
So, I'm sorry, Chief, you're asking for an appointment as a patrolman?
Yes.
Okay. Could she work as a reserve till we meet next?
I think she probably could if you wanted to do that till the 9th, because technically she was still a reserve, so if you wanted to probably add her to the list we did earlier and just make her appointment until the 9th in her reserve status, and then we can put it on for the 9th for a full-time appointment. So it would be just extending that time frame, which I think she might have been already appointed up until the 31st of this year under her old appointment. So we just need to extend it for a week or 2 weeks until the board meets next.
Well, maybe, Mr. Chairman, we could do that, and when we make the appointment, make sure she doesn't lose a week of service. We'll make the appointment effective on her first day.
Yeah, if you want to make it effective, till the, if you want to extend the reserve appointment, I guess, until January 9th, you could take that action. So her reserve appointment would be in effect until January 9th. And then when the 9th comes up, you can take that up as a formal appointment for full time.
That requires another emergency action, right?
So I think it would be, I think you're okay to do it. I mean, I'm not certainly a legal expert, but I think you're okay to do it since it was unanticipated. Again, it was just something we were notified of today. We anticipated her graduating next week, so it would have been, she would have been basically off for the weekend and then just had that kind of go. But that's one of the That's one of the problems. She would have been graduating, I think, on the 5th or the 6th, that day of March. Yeah, the 6th, she would have been graduating on the 6th, but it had been moved up a week, so that's why it's causing this problem.
Is there something with the chair that you could point to, Chief, that just says that you got noticed at the last minute?
I can send you the email that we got today. It just notified us of the graduation, so you can have that for the record, that it just came in the staff this morning, I think about 10:30 this morning it came.
It's challenging, Mr. Chairman, we can always point to that.
So your intention was this was gonna be on the next agenda?
Yes.
And it was, you just received notice that it's a week early.
Yes.
So board's pleasure.
I'd be more comfortable making a one agenda meeting
Yeah, me too.
for that date, as opposed to running the risk on any kind of appeal or complaint filed against us, 'cause that would hold it up maybe even longer. So we can slide something in between now and the 6th, whatever the date is.
We need 1 week notice, right?
No, 3 days.
2 days?
48 hours.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can even do the meeting remotely, whatever you want to do it that way, however you want to handle it, it's fine. I think that whatever the board's pleasure is. It's,
So it makes sense, you know, cross the Ts, dot the Is.
Pick a day between now and the 6th.
yeah, then you just, the agenda item would be to make her full-time appointment effective on January 30th, and that would work. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, December 30th. Under process, on Sunday. December 30th. Full-time appointment.
Place our week, maybe.
Next week. Closing at 12 Friday, so.
Yeah, whatever the board decides, we can work it out.
We'll get it done.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Thank you. Sorry to dump some last minute thoughts on
No,
you.
it's good news.
Chief, right to the finish line, I had bad Merrick handle that one.
That's it. I could have sent them up as cannon fodder, but I didn't do it.
I'm gonna delegate this to the acting chief.
Alright, we've done with departmental. Public notices of general interest, Dudley on the agenda.
I am. Oh my goodness. So good evening. I should have read the agenda all the way to the end.
Well, my problem is I read the agenda, if anyone tries to change it on me, I get all upset.
Public notices of general public interest is something that I've been working with John Ruda on adding to your agenda for your meetings. And this is just an opportunity to bring out some of the great things happening in the community, whether it's within the town hall itself or out in some of our Cub Scout packs or women's clubs or things like that. What I was hoping is to get my name and my contact information out into the community. It's Dudley Placa, and the email address is publicinfo@dudleymass.gov. And we're really interested in hearing from the community, any great happenings in town, fundraisers, events, ribbon cuttings. What I've seen over the years is it's kind of sporadic. If a selectman thinks to make an announcement at a board of selectmen's meeting, it comes out. But there's so much going on that I think people would like to hear about. So that's it. Thank you.
Love it.
Next item. All right, board member comments. Mr. Landry.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Collins. Feel very confident he's going to do an outstanding job. Great job goes out to the Cub Scouts, Dudley Women's Club, all of our departments, running very, very efficient ship operationally and financially. I want to wish them all a happy holiday season to all their families, and I look forward to next year being even better. Thank you.
I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, a happy one of those, and a joyous and prosperous New Year. It's going to be a good one. And I want to apologize, I got a little heated during that public hearing, but I was elected by the citizens, the voters of Dudley. By an entity, I wasn't elected by an entity. Sometimes I get a little heated doing this because I really want to do the best for the community, I really do. And when I see something I don't like, I take it personally. And my vote tonight was what I believe to be in the best interest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, again, I apologize. Usually do it at the beginning of the meeting, on behalf of the board and the town. Send out sympathies to the family of the former water superintendent, John Mead. He lost a younger brother, Tommy, since the last time we met. Tommy was only 60, which once upon a time was like a big number. It sounded like me, now it's pretty close, but just on behalf of the board, sympathies to Mr. Mead and his family. I wasn't present, but I saw the parade, went by my street. I want to thank Michelle Jarvis and all her untold, uncountable elves that helped make it a very special day. I know the weather didn't cooperate the first time, but it's one of those things that Mr. Marcy likes to say, it makes Dudley a special place. That kind of stuff your community does for you. I know other towns do it too, but it seems like we really hit those functions out of the park. Piggyback Mr. Lambie, all the town hall people, library people, anybody that often, the businesses, the residents. I saw Mr. Johnson's picture in the paper, coming with the occurrence, but that's okay, it looks good. Also wish everybody on the board a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I have one child born on New Year's Eve, so he'll be coming up. A couple more in January, so the winter months get busy for us, but Merry Christmas to all and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to mention that one of the things we had in the consent agenda were all of the different licenses that we usually read. And I just wanted to let everybody know there's a lot of work that goes into that, collecting all the information from everybody who has a license. So Michelle, thank you for pulling all that together. Those are very important for our businesses in town. So it's just a necessary part of it. And we will go through and we will sign all of those. So thank you for that. Congrats to Dan Burnett, who's now going to be a police officer in Dudley, reserve officer, and it's always a good day when we have new people join. And always good to see the Cub Scouts, Mr. Johnson. I like that. I miss when my boy was on that. And I'd like to wish you all and everybody home Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's the last time that we'll meet as a board until the new year. I think we got a lot done this year.
Maybe not.
Maybe not, this is correct. Well, whole meeting. Right? This time of year, I like to get a little reflective and, just like if you think about where we were a year ago, and I tell my team this at work, like when the times get tough, I said, think about where we were a year ago, and then think about how far we came now. And we still have a lot of these very high value projects that are still going on in town, and the mill and, some of the other businesses. We're just thankful that those are happening and looking forward to more progress next year.
A lot of excellent comments tonight. It's hard to, I don't want to repeat everything that was already said, but, thank you to everyone that either works for the town, helps with all the activities that went on, that was outside of the daily duties, which are immense and all-consuming sometimes. So it's really a great day. Thanks to Chief and Frosty that came and helped out. It's two Frosties, no one noticed. I think it was pretty smooth. It's really a time of year where you have to, take a pause and make sure you understand what's important in life. Take care of your family, friends, and neighbors. That, this might sound corny, but Merry Christmas to all. Well, good night. With that, I'll look for an adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, everybody.
Livy, I was supposed to call you today, wasn't I?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
See, a work close here.
I know, I was like-
I had someone,